मिलकर आज उत्सव मनाते हैं, सम्मान में आपके सर झुकाते हैं। आप आए तो माहौल में खुशियां छा गई, आपकी खिदमत में श्रद्धा के दीप जलाते हैं। इन्हीं शब्दों के साथ मैं हृदय की गहराइयों से स्वागत करती हूँ और तहे दिल से अभिनंदन करती हूँ हमारे आज के विशेष मेहमान और ऑनरेबल श्री एरिक सोलहेम जी का। तालियों के साथ स्वागत हो जाए श्री एरिक सोलहेम सर का। He is Executive Director of United Nations Environment Program, former Executive Director. Welcome to Rajasthan, sir. Welcome to Jaipur. Welcome to the pink city of India. आपके आने से महफिल में रौनक आ गई, आपके आने से चारों ओर खुशियां छा गई। आप हमारी प्रेरणा हो, आपकी प्रेरणा हमें जीना सिखा गई। आपके विचारों से मानो डूबती नाव किनारा पा गई। जी हाँ, मैं तहे दिल से स्वागत करना चाहूंगी कल्पतरु संस्थान के फाउंडर डायरेक्टर और हमारे ट्री मैन ऑफ इंडिया श्री विष्णु लांबा जी का। जोरदार तालियों के साथ स्वागत हो जाए। और इस पावन अवसर पर पधारे सभी कल्पतरु के वॉलंटियर्स, एनवायरमेंटलिस्ट्स, क्लाइमेट एक्टिविस्ट्स, सभी का, grassroots workers, students, teachers, everyone present in this auditorium, I offer a gracious and inclusive welcome to each and everyone over here. Please give a big hand for the occasion. To us our life, and I once again include my warm word of welcome to each and everyone present in this auditorium to this unique program, Dialogue with Erik. Let's have a big round of applause. अब मैं एरिक सर और विष्णु सर को स्टेज पर आमंत्रित करना चाहूंगी कि वे स्टेज पर आए, अपना स्थान ग्रहण करें और विष्णु सर से रिक्वेस्ट करना चाहूंगी कि वो शॉल उड़ाकर सर का वेलकम करें। I request someone from the women's wings to kindly come up to the stage, please. आप लोग कुछ पूछना चाहेंगे अपने इनोवेशंस के बारे में, एनवायरनमेंट के बारे में? आई कैन सी सो मेनी फेसेस, स्टूडेंट्स सभी प्रेजेंट हैं, सो आई रिक्वेस्ट वन बाय वन कि वो जो भी अपनी तरफ से इको फ्रेंडली गिफ्ट्स लाए हैं हमारे ऑनरेबल सेक्रेटरी सर के लिए, आप प्लीज स्टेज पे आए और अपना अपना गिफ्ट्स प्लीज प्रेजेंट करें। एंड दिस इज अ गोल्डन अपॉर्चुनिटी टू शेयर द स्टेज with such a great personality. Kindly come up, one by one, kindly come up. One by one. Please. Next in the row, please.
हमारे सभी उपस्थित पर्यावरण प्रेमी कार्यकर्ताओं और बाहर से आए हुए छात्र छात्राओं में, जागरूक नागरिकों में, उपस्थित लोगों में कोई भी ऐसा सज्जन जो बचा है वो विद्यार्थी आ जाए। बाकी 2-3 लोग हैं उनके बारे में थोड़ा सा जिक्र मैं ज़रूर करना चाहूँगा। हमारे बीच में एक सज्जन हैं जगदीश जी पंचारिया। जगदीश पंचारिया जी भगवत गीता लेकर आए हैं। आप एरिक को ब्रीफ करिए प्लीज। कृति श्रीमद् भगवत गीता आपको भेंट करना चाहते हैं। जगदीश पंचारिया जयपुर शहर के बहुत बड़े लोग होकर हैं। जोरदार तालियों से अभिनंदन कीजिए। भारत की भगवत गीता और यूएन तक पहुँचने वाली है उसके माध्यम से। बहुत बहुत तालियों से स्वागत। बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद आदरणीय जगदीश पंचारिया जी। थैंक यू सो मच मिस्टर जगदीश पंचारिया। नेक्स्ट हमारे बीच में मैंने अभी जैसे कई सारे लोग हैं जिनका चर्चा मुनासिब तो है, पर मुझे वक्त जो है वो लाजमी नहीं है कि मैं हर चीज़ को गाऊं, लेकिन ये मानिए कि सब बहुत अच्छे लोग हैं। हमारे साथ में हमारी बिटिया है प्यारी, मेरी लाडली है अनायना। तो अनायना बहुत बड़ी विश्व प्रसिद्ध कथक नृत्यांगना है और वो कौन सा भवई करती है। एक महत्वपूर्ण बात है जो आप सब लोगों को मुझे बतानी है। कई सारे नेता इस प्रकार के लोग भी देश में हैं जो अनेक सामाजिक सरोकारों को लेकर के विभिन्न माध्यमों से मानवता को कल्याणकारी में बना रहे हैं, लोक कल्याण में बड़ा योगदान दे रहे हैं। और ऐसी स्थिति में तेलंगाना के माननीय मुख्यमंत्री जी की प्रेरणा से हमारे आदरणीय संतोष कुमार जी राज्यसभा सदस्य, संतोष कुमार जी देश के पहले ऐसे राज्यसभा सदस्य जिन्होंने संपूर्ण भारत में ही नहीं पूरी दुनिया के अंदर पर्यावरण संरक्षण का एक बहुत बड़ा कार्य शुरू किया है। मैं लंबे समय से उनका प्रशंसक रहा हूं। ये उनका बड़प्पन है कि कुछ समय पहले उन्होंने ट्विटर पर मुझे फॉलो किया तो एक बार तो आश्चर्य हुआ, फिर बाद में देखा तो मुझे लगा यह आदमी अपने काम का है, क्योंकि जो अपने को तलाश सकता है छोटे छोटे बागवानों को, इतने बड़े आदमी क्या फर्क पड़ता है, अपने जिसमें बहुत आते हैं। लेकिन उन्होंने ये बताया कि मुझे ग्राउंड लेवल के वर्कर्स की जरूरत है देश में, और मैं चाहता हूं कि ग्रीन इंडिया चैलेंज के माध्यम से पूरी दुनिया में एक बड़ा काम खड़ा हो, भारत में काम खड़ा हो, भारत के अन्य राज्यों में काम खड़ा हो। वो संतोष कुमार जी ने एक बहुत बड़ा कार्य आज भेजा है। उनके प्रतिनिधि हमारे बीच में आए हैं। प्रतिनिधि 2:30 बजे अपनी एक महत्वपूर्ण घोषणा हम सब के बीच करेंगे जो राजस्थान को तो गौरवान्वित करेगी ही, राजस्थान की माटी से पूरे देश और दुनिया में एक बड़ा संदेश देगी। हम सबको उस घोषणा की प्रतीक्षा है। हम सब 2:30 बजे का इंतजार कर रहे हैं। उससे पहले मैं चाहूंगा कि आप सभी, हमारे बीच में 2 प्रतिनिधि पधारे हुए हैं, उनके फाउंडर सदस्य हैं ग्रीन इंडिया चैलेंज के, और हमारे राघव जी हैं, और हमारे आदरणीय उनके साथ में सहयोगी पधारे हैं। मैं दोनों से ही अनुरोध करूंगा कि आप पधारें और एरिक साहब को पहले अपना गिफ्ट भेंट करें, और उसके बाद में अपन 2:30 बजे कार्यक्रम की बात करें। कुमार जी के प्रतिनिधि जो जानकारी दे रहे हैं वो आप सब लोगों के लिए महत्वपूर्ण है। 16 करोड़ पेड़ लगाने का लक्ष्य लेकर चल रहे हैं। आप जोरदार तालियों से संतोष कुमार। कुछ करना है तो योजना समझनी चाहिए। अगर आपने कोई दिमाग में किसी चीज़ को लेकर के कुछ बड़ा ऐसा बिठा रखा है तो उसके विषय में आगे बढ़ना चाहिए। फॉर एग्जांपल, हम लोग वॉलंटियर्स बैठे हैं इसलिए हम लोग बात कर रहे हैं, और इसलिए बात कर रहे हैं कि हमारे लिए बड़ी जिम्मेदारी है। आप कल्पना कीजिए कि जमीनी स्तर के कार्यों को महत्व जहां देने वाला दुनिया में कोई बचा नहीं है। चंद नाम बचे हैं जो पूरे विश्व के कोने कोने तक आपके सार्थक कल्याणकारी योजनाओं को जन जन तक पहुंचाने का प्रयास करने में आपकी सहभागी बन सकते हैं। लेकिन एकमात्र पूरी दुनिया के अंदर जितने भी ग्लोबल लीडर्स को मैं जानता हूं, तो मैं आप सब लोगों से कहना चाहता हूं कि सिर्फ ट्विटर पर, फेसबुक पर केवल आपका अकाउंट बना देना कि मेरा ये अभियान है, और आपकी 4 फोटो आप भेज करके सोचते हो कि आप लोग बहुत बड़े, मतलब आप कुछ बड़ा सोच सकते हैं क्या, बड़ा कर सकते हैं क्या? आपसे मुस्कुरा कर बात की जाए, आपसे पहली पहली छोटी छोटी बातें कर ली जाए, उतना पर्याप्त है क्या? अगर वही करना है तो गली में बहुत घूम रहे हैं, कई सारे हैं लल्लू मच्चू, वही पर्याप्त है। दुनिया बदलने का साहस है क्या? दुनिया के लिए कुछ करने का साहस है क्या? ठगोरे सैनिक की तो औकात है क्या? रोटी से ज़्यादा ठोकरे खा सकते हो क्या? तो दुनिया बदलेंगे, कोई नहीं रोक सकता। आप कुछ बड़ा सोचते हैं, बड़ा करना चाहते हैं, तो आपको शुरुआत कर देनी चाहिए। एक मैं पहले उसका पोस्टर विमोचन कराऊंगा, जो एक बड़ी शुरुआत आज होने जा रही है, इंडो नेपाल ग्रीन मिशन। उस अभियान को आज हम रन कर रहे हैं, तो उस पोस्टर का विमोचन करेंगे आज एरिक साहब। और हम चाहेंगे कि नेपाल से हमारे रिश्ते सिर्फ सीमाओं के रिश्ते नहीं हैं, नेपाल से हमारे कलेजे के रिश्ते हैं, हमारी ज़मीन के रिश्ते हैं, हमारे ज़मीर के रिश्ते हैं, हमारी जिंदा दिली के रिश्ते, हमारे पुरखों के रिश्ते, हमारे सनातन के रिश्ते हैं, हमारे संस्कारों के रिश्ते हैं, हमारी संस्कृति के रिश्ते हैं, हमारा ननियाल है नेपाल। ये इंडो नेपाल ग्रीन मिशन एक अभियान हम शुरू करने जा रहे हैं आज। उसके पोस्टर का विमोचन माननीय एरिक सोलेम अपने कर कमलों द्वारा करेंगे। हम किसी पार्टी के नहीं हैं, हमारी पार्टी पर्यावरण पार्टी है और वो आखिरी सांस तक की पार्टी है। हम उस आखिरी सांस तक की आप सबसे अनुरोध है कि जहाँ जैसे संभव हो सकता है जमीनी स्तर पे वो काम करेंगे। तो नेपाल के साथ भारत का पर्यावरण का जो संबंध है, हर प्रकार का जो संबंध है, वो संबंध कैसे मानवता को और ज़्यादा लाभदायक बना सकता है, मानवता के लिए हितकारी हो सकता है, उसको देखते हुए हमने तय किया है कि ये कार्यक्रम आज शुभारंभ हो। उसका शुभारंभ माननीय एरिक सोलेम अपने कर कमलों द्वारा पोस्टर विमोचन करके करेंगे। मुझे आशा है इंडो नेपाल ग्रीन मिशन का शुभारंभ जिनके हाथों हो रहा है और जिस मनसा सिद्धि ने मुझे कहा है कि हम उस तरह से इसको आगे बढ़ाएंगे, तो हम आपको जमीनी स्तर का काम दे सकते हैं। अपनी छोटी मोटी जो भी कम बुद्धि की सुझाव है वो आपको दे सकते हैं, काम आपको करना है। मुझे आशा है कि आप इस काम को आगे बढ़ाएंगे। मैं चाहूँगा कि सिद्धि मैडम को आप आमंत्रित करें ग्रीन इंडिया मिशन के ओपनिंग के लिए और फिर एरिक साहब का डायलॉग शुरू करें।
I request Siddhi ma'am to kindly come up on the stage please for unveiling of the poster. तालियों के साथ स्वागत हो जाए सिद्धि मैम का। गड़गड़ाहट चलती रहनी चाहिए। इंडो नेपाल ग्रीन मिशन अभियान के लिए पोस्टर विमोचन by Erik Solheim sir.
नमस्ते। मैं हिंदुस्तान और पाकिस्तान के बॉर्डर बाड़मेर से आया हूँ। हिंदुस्तान और पाकिस्तान के बॉर्डर पर जो जिला है वो बाड़मेर है और वो एक रेगिस्तानी जिला है जहाँ पर पर्यावरण लेकर बहुत सारी समस्याएं हैं। मूल रूप से पानी की सबसे ज़्यादा समस्या है। पानी की समस्या के चलते वहाँ वनस्पति इतनी नहीं बढ़ पाई जितनी पिछले सालों में बढ़नी थी। मैं पिछले 20 सालों से पौधारोपण को लेकर मूल रूप से पर्यावरण को लेकर काम करता हूँ। अभी लास्ट कोरोना के टाइम से 4 साल से एक घर एक पौधा एक अभियान चलाता हूँ। शहर के अंदर हम लोगों ने धरातल पे बेसिक काउंटिंग 9 आंकड़े काउंटिंग 6000 पौधे 6000 घरों के आगे हमने पौधे लगाए। पौधे रियल में सबसे 6000 पौधे आपको गिन के बता सकते हैं। मेरे वहाँ जुड़े हुए लोग या मेरे साथ में बाड़मेर से आए वो आपको गिन के बता सकते हैं। मैं मूल समस्या पे ये आ रहा हूँ कि वहाँ पे जो पशुओं की समस्या थी शहर में वो समाप्त हो गई, तो पौधे बड़े हो गए। लेकिन जो गांव है शहरों के पास में, मैं जिस गांव में लगा हूँ एज ए टीचर लगा हुआ हूँ, तो वहाँ हम पौधे लगाते हैं लेकिन वो पानी की समस्या या एनवायरमेंट के जो तापमान है वहाँ का, उसके चलते वो बड़े नहीं हो पा रहे, पनप नहीं पा रहे। मैं जिस गाँव में लगा हूँ उस गाँव में पिछले 3 साल मैंने कंटिन्यू हर साल में 500 पौधे लगाता हूँ डोर टू डोर। इस बार फिर अभी आगे सप्ताह में हम 350 पौधे, एक नीम और एक खेजड़ी हर घर लगा रहे हैं। लेकिन मुझे ये शंका है कि हम कैसे इससे बचे। पानी की जो समस्या है या ऐसे रेगिस्तानी इलाकों में हम लोग पौधों को कैसे जिंदा कर सकते हैं? सर
धन्यवाद। क्या सुना बताया आपका? पूरा नाम है मेरा।
Thank you. First of all, thank you so much for what you're doing. Great work. It's fantastic that people like you are standing up and trying to improve the environment and do tree planting. So big thank you to you. Then, of course, I do not know the specific situation in India and Pakistan border in Europe, home place. but I think you can look to what has been successful in other parts of the world. In China, in Mongolia, which is a very dry place, very similar to Rajasthan, they have done massive tree planting. And the transformation of the entire landscapes by tree planting means that also the climate is changing, more rain is coming, so it's much greener than it was. I think in the place in China called Kobochi, it's probably the most successful tree planting anywhere in the world. And now also in modern times they do it by drones, because drones can plant many more trees than humans can do. And they base it of course on the local species which are natural to the environment, so they can thrive. In Iran, there is a big lake there, like Urmia. It went down to 10% of the historical surface. So basically nearly all water disappeared. Why? Because all the farmers around the lake used the water for irrigation. Now it's back to 50%, much better, and that is because they have found much more better way of using the water for farming. Farmers still get better yields, but they don't waste water. You just give the water just to the plant, not to everything else. So I think if you look into tree planting and better, more rational way of using water for agriculture, these are at least some of the measures to answer your question. The system in Iran is like that. I mean, before the farmers will just put water all to the farm, to every field. Now they target the water just to every plant, so that you don't waste the water.
Very good afternoon, sir. So I'm very happy to discussing with you today, and I'm very happy to be with the students, most of them young India. Sir, as you know, I'm working in this environment sector almost 20 plus years and seen so many innovative things and grassroots innovation, frugal innovation, Indian way of innovation. As we all know that Indian population contributes to 17% of the global population, but we have only 4% of the natural resources. Still, most of India is less than 30 years, almost 70% of India less than 30 years, young students. These are the ones which is going to have a future of this country. But sir, the problem is most of this Indian traditional education system what we have right now is not based on environment or something like that. Okay, only few people you can count on hand. Very less people are really working on how we can conserve and preserve our natural resources, especially water and environment. So my thing is, if possible, so kindly elaborate how young India can be participate in this, where the future, the disaster which is already happening right now in India as well as global way of this thing due to global warming, climate change at all. So how we can really participate and involve more the young India, where we can really protect our future generations in a better way. Thank you so much.
So that's a great issue, and of course India is changing very fast. In the old days, the debate whenever I came to India was, do we in India want to develop, or do we want to take care of Mother Earth? And then nearly all Indians wanted to develop. Now, I think to a large extent, thanks to Prime Minister Modi, the debate is very different. It's about how can we develop and take care of Mother Earth at exactly the same time, because we have all the policies to bring everyone out of poverty, create jobs, and at the same time create a much better ecological civilization. So that's a huge opportunity for India. It can avoid this old way of first you pollute and then you clean up. Then many people ask, what can I do? And they ask, can I change society? And yes, indeed, who else? There's no one else to change India for you. You will change India, every one of you. And recall what Mahatma Gandhi said, you need to be the change you want to see in this world.
great words.
Of course, you need political leaders. You need Prime Minister Modi, you need the Prime Minister of Telangana, Chief Minister of Telangana, which is very environment conscious. You need the Chief Ministers of the state of Rajasthan. You need all these people, and you need business. But you can drive these change, and you can inspire political leaders and business to do the change. I would recommend 3 main areas. One is tree planting, greening the land. Everyone can do that. Nearly everyone has their own garden, or if you don't have your own garden, the neighbor or some friends of you will have a garden, and you can start some tree planting there, and then you can inspire others to do that. Secondly, we need to get rid of pollution, and particularly we need to get rid of the plastic pollution. I was in Siliguri in West Bengal 4 days ago. 10,000 young Indians came up early in the morning to clean the river Mahananda. Why? It's full of plastics. It's a beautiful river, but the river is not really beautiful when it's polluted like that. Because the big rivers of India, like Ganga and all the others, need Yamuna, all of them, they need to be cleaned up, and we need to stop plastic pollution. And everyone can do something. You can avoid drinking from plastic cups. We can drink from a normal cup, can't we? You can drink from a normal glass. You don't need straws. We can avoid all this one-use plastic. When you go to work or go to school, you can bring your own cutlery, your own bottle, and fill it up. So it's a lot people can do together to avoid the pollution. And finally, we need to move into electric mobility. We need to move into renewable energy. What can individuals do? Well, now these days we can put solar panels on every roof. You can start small solar panel factories or small solar stations in the villages, and of course for bigger buildings, for factories, parking spots, everywhere you can put solar. And solar is now the cheapest energy in the world. It's much cheaper than oil, much cheaper than coal. So not only you do good for the environment if you put up solar panels, you save money. So it's fantastic for both jobs and Mother Earth. And when we buy a 2-wheeler, a 3-wheeler, a 4-wheeler, we can look into can we get the electric models, so we reduce pollution. And then of course the factories will make all these models for us. So I think there's a lot young Indians can do to inspire the politicians and inspire business, but tree planting, circular economy where we avoid plastics, and renewable energies are the 3 maybe main areas.
Good afternoon to all. My opinion is plant नया लगाना ठीक है, अच्छी बात है, but much better होगा कि जो पुराने बड़े जो प्लांट्स हैं उनको सेव करना, प्रोटेक्ट करना ज़्यादा ज़रूरी है. बड़े जो फॉरेस्ट एरियाज हैं वो डेवलपमेंट के नाम पे कट हो रहे हैं, और इसका एक ग्लोबल कोई सोल्यूशन हो सकता है, क्योंकि बड़े लेवल के जो हमारे हिल्स हैं जहाँ पे प्लांट्स हैं, जो नेचुरल प्लांटेशंस हैं, उनके प्रोटेक्शन के लिए हमें क्या करना चाहिए ग्लोबल लेवल पर. पहला बात तो ये कि हम लोग अलग अलग इंडिविजुअल प्लांट लगा सकते हैं, हम उनकी केयर कर सकते हैं, लेकिन ग्लोबल लेवल पर आप सारे कंट्रीज को एकजुट होकर जो हमारे नेचुरल रिसोर्सेज हैं उनको कैसे प्रोटेक्ट करेंगे.
No, you're absolutely right. The most important is to protect the nature and the forests which are already there. That's number one. And we need to do that much, much better. And here there are some good stories. Indonesia, which is the 2nd biggest rainforest nation in the world, has now brought deforestation down to 0. How have they done that? Government has put out the right policies to protect the land. And the big business, the big companies of Indonesia are also acting. As an example, there's a company in Indonesia called April. It's the biggest paper company, like making paper for newspapers and for schools in the world. And they have embarked upon what they call 1-to-1 policy. That means for every square meter of plantation forest, which they use for the paper machines, they will also conserve 1 square meter of old rainforest. And the good news is that this company, because they have the helicopters, they have the fire brigades, they have all the equipment you need to defend the rainforest. The government of Indonesia doesn't always have that. Government has all the good intentions, but they lack some of the clout which these big businesses have. So when you get the combined forces of government and business, they have brought deforestation down to zero. We should definitely avoid cutting down all trees, but of course sometimes it is unavoidable. If you want to make a railroad from, say, Ahmedabad to Mumbai, which is now happening in India, or if you want to make a big scheme for rails in India, like they have in China, make roads or new buildings, in some occasions there is unavoidable to cut down trees. Then the companies who make that new program should also be responsible for compensating by planting new trees in another place. So that leads to zero-sum gain. But you're right, number one, let's avoid deforestation and the cutting down of trees as much as we can. When it's unavoidable, we should do replacement with new trees.
Thank you so much for giving us this opportunity. Thank you, Vishnu, for calling us. I run a trust in my special daughter's name. And we have just, along with Vishnu was the ambassador, I would say, who has helped us to promote a project called Nurture Hope. Nurture Hope is nothing but planting trees in memory of your loved ones. And otherwise also, if you want to plant trees. That's how I started with Vishnu in Delhi. I'm from Delhi, I'm not from Jaipur. So I just came for this and wanted to meet you personally. So this is a very small initiative under my trust, which I have started for Green Revolution, I must say. So is there any connect globally, because there are more than 1 billion disabled people who are there around the world. Is there any link between environment and these disabled people? Can they contribute some way globally as well? Is there any thinking that you have come up with that they should be involved in this great initiative to save the earth?
No, absolutely. I mean, disabled people should be involved in everything. Sometimes disability makes it difficult, but they should be involved at every level. Because the old thinking was in basically every society that disabled people cannot do something. Very often they were just put in a hut and people didn't, they gave them some food but they were left there. Now we know that disabled people can make the most fantastic miracles. Some of the brightest brains we have at some of the universities are disabled people. We had just the Paralympics in Beijing. You may have seen the enormous capacities of disabled people to do sports. So for sure, disabled people can be part of every campaign we discuss here: tree planting, nature protection, fighting pollution, fighting plastics, protecting nature. There is no limit to what disabled people can achieve. We created the limits in the past.
Thank you so much. That's so assuring. Thank you so much.
Thanks, sir.
You are very audible.
Yeah, I'm from JECRC University here at the campus. I have my coordinators working for the societal activities. Along with that, we have a fruitful campaign also being started where we have been planting the trees related with the fruits. Now, my submission and need your suggestion in a way, sir. We have various industries as well as textile industries, effluents which come out from along with the water containing various dyes, colors and metals as well. So could you please shed light on that? How could we come up with that major drastic issue that create water pollution as well as causing danger to our plants? So could you please shed light on that? Thank you, sir.
No, absolutely. I think here India can learn from some of these nations who really have cleaned up the rivers. Germany has cleaned up the river Rhine. If you go 30 years back, it was one of the most polluted rivers in Germany, maybe even in the entire world. It was absolutely dirty. In China, in some of the central parts of China called Jiangsu and Zhejiang province, in Zhejiang they have some rivers, even 10 years back they were called milky rivers. Not because they were healthy as milk, because they were white as milk from pollution away from the river to make sure that there was no direct pollution. In India, of course, the campaign for toilets and against open defecation is a very, very important campaign, and thank you to Modi and all those who are driving that campaign for Swachh Bharat, because that helps. And then you need to work with the industries as to how they can reduce their pollution. The way that has been done in most places is to put a put a fine or put a levy on pollution, which will be gradually increased, because you don't want to push the industry out of business tomorrow, but you want them to change over time. And then you put a levy, some rupees today, but it will be more tomorrow, it will be even more next year. And the industry know that this will happen, and then they focus their intelligence and energy on new technologies for cleaning up. When you combine all these efforts, business, state, and individuals, it helps. In China, they also have something called the river chief system. That means that for every 100 meters or 500 meters of a river, there is a chief. And there's a poster there, you get a telephone number of that person. It's a big major river, that will be a high official. It's a small tributary, it will be a lower official. But you know that you can call that person, let's say it's Vishnu, you get his phone number, you can call him, and you know if people have discharged anything into the river, you can call him, there is a problem, you can call him, and he should then work with the political authorities to help solve the problem. So I think there are so many innovative solutions, and Germany and China may be a couple of places to get them. But I met with the Clean Ganga Authority the other day, and they are now embarking upon a major campaign to clean up Ganga as the most important, the most holy river, not only in India, maybe in the world.
Good afternoon, sir. To stop climate change, we need to bring greenhouse gas emission to zero. But the manufacturing of cement and steel emits a considerable amount of that. We talk about electricity alternatives, renewable energy, but we don't talk about cement and steel alternatives. So what's our plan for cement and steel?
That's a very good question, because cement and steel are two major committers to climate gas emissions. I think the most promising prospect here is green hydrogen, because you cannot electrify steel production like you can with many other processes. I mean, when you get cars, you can just electrify them. But you need so high temperatures to produce steel that you cannot electrify it. Today, most steel is made from coal, because coal can bring that high temperature. But green hydrogen, you produce the green hydrogen from solar, or from wind, or from hydropower. Also, you can produce it from nuclear power if you wish, but you can produce the green hydrogen from any source of energy. And then you put the green hydrogen into steel production, and then you have zero emissions from the steel production. Sweden, our neighboring country Norway, is now establishing the first zero-emitting steel factory in the world. So there is a lot of move here, but I think green hydrogen is the answer. By the way, green hydrogen can also be used for aviation, for shipping, for heavy trucks, and for many other good purposes.
I am Secretary of Society of Global Cycle. We are running a campaign for bicycles. We aware people to ride bicycle. Our slogan is एक साइकिल बनाए 3 काम, पर्यावरण सुरक्षा, अर्थव्यवस्था और व्यायाम. मतलब bicycle makes 3 benefits: environment, health, and wealth. हम लोग इसे पूरे वर्ल्ड वाइड स्प्रेड करते जाते हैं इस मिशन को. तो आप सजेस्ट कीजिए हम इसके लिए कुछ. We started this mission with 3 persons, but now we are above 10,000 persons.
You're absolutely right, sir. Going more by bicycle has triple goods. It's very good for our health. We'll be better condition for our bodies, more healthy. It's very good for the environment because we avoid pollution. And it's also very good for the Indian economy because the production of bicycles is a huge opportunity to create jobs. So this is very good. What I would suggest is that you also link up to some of these bike sharing programs which are in many other parts of the world, where you do not necessarily own your own bike, but you share it in different schemes. But of course also to promote electrical bikes, because sometimes it's too much uphill, people feel difficult to go uphill, then you can have the added benefit of the electrical bike. So electric bikes has huge opportunities, and bike sharing is now a great business in many parts of the world. In any Chinese city, there are tens of thousands of bikes which are shared. You just go there with your app. You open you put your mobile phone to the bicycle. You open it and you go from one part of Jaipur to the other part of Jaipur, and then you leave the bicycle there, and another person will pick it up. So these schemes are taking off basically everywhere. Of course, there is an issue in India, and that is that the traffic is very heavy. And a lot of people feel a bit scared going by bicycle in very heavy traffic. So it's also a good opportunity to try to see as much as possible if you can make separate lanes for bikes, so that they're not full of cars and other vehicles, which make it difficult for the bike driver. But all these are great opportunities, and thank you for engaging in it.
Thank you so much, sir.
मैं एक किसान हूँ और प्लास्टिक और एनवायरनमेंट को लेके काम कर रही हूँ, जिसमें विष्णु सर मेरा काफ़ी सहयोग कर रहे हैं। इसमें जो गांव में प्लास्टिक को हटाने के लिए जो फार्म की वेस्टेज है, जैसे पराली वगैरह, जिससे कि सभी लोग बहुत परेशान है पॉल्यूशन से, जो जानवर नहीं खाता खेत की वो वेस्टेज, और
आप प्रोडक्ट बना रहे हैं कई प्रकार के, तो आप चाहते हैं कि वो वैश्विक स्तर पर जाए और लोग उसका और अधिक से अधिक उससे जुड़े, ताकि ये पराली की समस्या में आप समाधान बन सके और माननीय उच्च न्यायालय की पालना हो सके। That's clear?
There are three solutions to the plastic problem as I see it. First, we should avoid all the plastic products we do not need. And that's what India is doing now. Prime Minister Modi has launched a ban on single-use plastic. That is like cups, glasses, cutlery, balloons. We can have festivals in other ways. And it gives no meaning to have 2 bananas or wrap them in a lot of plastics. I even saw someone wrapping coconuts in plastics. God has never invented a better skin than the coconut skin. There is absolutely no need to put a plastic around that brilliant skin invented by the Almighty. So that's number one. Let's avoid, let's ban. Secondly, there will still be a number of plastic items we do need because they serve a good purpose in society. I mean, during the COVID-19, of course, the hospitals used plastics in many ways to make sure that the virus was not spreading. Masks included, there were plastic in masks in many cases. And if you have a car, that car will normally be full of plastics. But that's good, because otherwise the car will be much heavier and it will demand a lot more gasoline. The first solar flight which ran on planet Earth was made by plastic. Why was that? This was the only material as so light that you could get up in the air, but at the same time so solid that the pilot could be safe. So there are plastics we do need. Those plastics need to be recycled. And in farming, I don't know in your place, but in many parts of the world there is enormous use of plastics in farming, and these bags need to be taken back, whatever they are. Those who put them out should also take them back, and then we should recycle them into new plastic products. This is starting in many parts of the world, but there's still a long way to go. But the extended producer responsibility scheme, which also Prime Minister Modi has said that he will establish in India, means that those who push the plastic into the market is also responsible for taking it back and recycling it. That should be the principle for the future. Avoid what we don't need, recycle what we do need. And finally, we can be more innovative, because many plastic products can also be made by sugarcane, or by potato, or by cassava, or by many other natural materials, and then you can just throw them away. I mean, if you throw the skin of an orange here in Rajasthan, it will disappear very fast by nature itself. And that will happen with the plastic made from natural materials. It will also, if you throw it away, it's not that dangerous because it will simply disintegrate by nature. So there's a lot we can do. We just need to get started and get it done.
Thank you, sir, for that great answer. I think we are done with the program. Program का dialogue with Erik को यही खत्म करते हैं.
एक मिनट, कोई अर्जेंट है क्या बेटा? खास है? क्या मुझे हिंदी में बता?
टेक्नोलॉजी जो होती है अपने एनवायरनमेंट को सेव करने के लिए कितना आगे तक काम कर सकती है?
टेक्नोलॉजी क्लाइमेट को सेव करने में टेक्नोलॉजी बिगाड़ है सारा खेल।
टेक्नोलॉजी को यूज कर रहे हैं जो एनवायरनमेंट को सेव कर रही है।
बहुत अच्छा सवाल। आप कहाँ से हो? JCR से। मैं तारीख को जवाब दूंगा इसका। मैं आपके एनुअल फंक्शन का चीफ गेस्ट।
अनुभव जी काइंडली कम ऑन टू द स्टेज। आप अपना इनोवेशन प्लीज बताएं सर को। नम्रता जी को भी मैं रिक्वेस्ट करूंगी कि वो आ जाएं। तालियां। इसी के साथ डायलॉग विद एरिक यही समाप्त होता है।
भारत के सबसे ज़्यादा पेड़ लगाने वाले, पर्यावरण बचाने वाले सांसद जो तेलंगाना हैदराबाद से आते हैं, आदरणीय संतोष कुमार जी, उनके नेतृत्व में एक बड़ा काम राजस्थान में शुरू हो, ऐसी उनकी इच्छा है। ऐसा उनका अनुरोध लेकर के उनके प्रतिनिधि राघव जी यहाँ पधारे हैं। उस बात को वो वहाँ पर अभी रखने वाले हैं। तो उससे पहले हम लोग एक बड़ा अभियान आने वाले जून में संतोष जी के साथ शुरू करें हैं। उससे पहले आदरणीय एरिक सोलेम के कर कमलों द्वारा पहला पौधा लगा करके और जो है अभियान का शुभारंभ कर रहे हैं। हम चाहेंगे कि ये अभियान बड़ा इस लेवल का जा सकता है, उसकी घोषणा अभी आपको थोड़ी देर बाद में पता चलेगी। तो कल्पतरु संस्थान की ओर से पहले तो आप सभी को अभिनंदन, और मैं चाहूँगा कि प्लीज़ एरिक
I'm so happy to be here in the great city of Jaipur with the Kalptaru Foundation and a number of good volunteers. They will work in a partnership between Rajasthan and Telangana, these two great Indian states, who both try to plant numerous new trees, and they have great ambitions, planting 1 lakh new trees in the near future.